Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Mastershot podcast. Today's guest is my friend and local San Antonio storyteller, David Carbajal. We will be going over how he started his journey and what he has accomplished in the short amount of time he has been doing this. All right, let's get into it.
This is a master shot with Leonard Ruiz.
Yep. And how are you doing today, David?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you, Leonard. I appreciate being your first guest, man. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so tell us a little about yourself. What do you do? How'd you get started?
I got started with you, man. I got started
Uh,
with you. You and Katie Murtaugh. I hope I'm saying her name right. I hope I'm saying her name right. You guys gave me my start. I There used to be this website. I doubt it exists anymore.
is it the
Short
short
films.
film Texas? Yeah, that one went down.
It's shortfilmstexas.com. I must have been about 2016.
Mm-hmm.
2016. That was my professional debut there with you and for Derelict, and I forgot the name of Katie's, but I was I was 21. Um, I had just moved to San Antonio maybe like 2 years prior, and I didn't know where to start. I got lucky for some way somehow. I found that website,
Mm-hmm.
and I started at Our Lady of the Lake University. So I feel like I've got a connection to it there. I didn't go to school there. So many of our productions, even a couple years afterwards, were shot at the school or with students from that school, like
Mm-hmm.
Amadeo. Um, I think you're probably familiar with Amadeo. He's the creator of The Salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Also went to Our Lady of the Lake. So I started there. I started with curiosity. I started with just trying to find a path, and you guys gave me that. And I feel like you when I saw the way you guys were working, um, I had already been writing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw the way you guys were working. I was like, I could do this too. Um, I want to do this too. I see, you got the camera, you got the setup, you got everything, and 2 months later, you and I are on set of Stone Cold Justice.
Yeah.
That to me, really, Stone Cold Justice is what is as silly as it is looking at now. I still love it
Oh,
because
yes.
that was really my rocket pad, man. That was really my launch pad to what I've been able to play with since then. What memories do you have of Stone Cold Justice?
I really enjoyed it actually. That was probably
Yeah,
the best thing I worked on.
so far.
Yeah.
Far.
Well, we met a lot of people actually. We had people coming in from out of town, and
Mm-hmm.
all for not being paid too, which is great.
Not being, I mean, that was a whole different. I feel like the culture around filmmaking.
Yeah, I saw that post the other day about that guy with about the Spider-Man one, and I was like, what are these people on about, man?
Yeah, the culture's really changed. And the post that Leonard is in reference to is on Facebook. There's a group page now for actors, and I noticed. I don't even fucking comment on people's things I know, but these young filmmakers, they posted this thing. They're making a fan film of Spider-Man, and looking for actors, crew, just trying to get the ball rolling, and they were just getting bombarded. Uh, by these people about not getting paid and why even post it, and the the ignorance. The ignorance. I was just astonished by it. I mean, here's a great opportunity to work with a bunch of young guns,
Hmm.
bashing them for having a passion, for having goals. So I just jumped in there and called them out for their ignorance.
Yeah.
And I noticed you jumped in on that, so I thought that was funny because I mean that's how we got started. We got started. We had people driving in from Houston to shoot this thing.
Hmm.
Uh, we were coming up with the scripts on the spot. I remember the playground episode
Was that
when we
the
had
two?
Weston, when
Yeah,
we had
that.
episode two when we had Weston in the shed and we lost the location. We took like a 1 hour break. We're working. I've referenced this moment so many times when we have issues on set. Put the audience here in the story. So we have these guys come in from out of town from Houston. We're 2 hours into our day, we lose a location. What do? You know, we gonna call it a day? No, we took a 1 hour break and we completely rewrote our scene with everybody in the room. Me and you just got the computer rewriting it, and we shot the rest of the scene and the episode in the driveway. It's a funny
Yeah.
episode. Yeah, we shot the scene in the shed, and it's a funny episode, and we got the goal was done. The
Hmm.
goal. Um, so to jump back to it, yeah, I feel like the culture's really changed from when we initially started. Um, it was really communal. I don't know if that's a word,
Communal.
but
Yeah. Pretty sure.
communal. Thank you. Cut that. Communal. And now I just feel like it's everybody's got their own brand that they want to push, and
Hmm.
the art comes first, man. The art comes first. The art comes first. So Stone Cold Justice, you read it. I showed you a trailer of a skit that I did in high school. Um, it's funny because a lot of what we do, if you don't have any sort of education for it, the only way you can learn is just by doing. Nobody taught me how to write a script. I think I just gave you a notebook with some, dialogue, things
Hmm.
that I thought were funny, and you thought inevitably were funny, and we had an idea, and we had a hot ember that was created into a good fire.
Hmm.
I would say my skills, without tooting my own horn, yeah, I feel like my skills have gotten better. I started. I've always loved to read. If you if you want to write your own scripts, you should read. I recommend it. It's you got to expand your vocabulary. You got to expand your own philosophies, your own opinions, your own thoughts. You have to have a strong opinion. You got to loosely hold on to it. What I mean by that is you want to have a conviction on your idea, but what the loosely means is be willing to let it go, be willing to collaborate, because filmmaking, unlike other artistries like painting, it's a collaborative process. With a co-writer, with the director, with the producer, the actors, the sound engineer, the camera guy, or cinematographer. I'm sorry. Um, there's so many different layers in filmmaking of the art form, and you have to be willing to loosely hold on to how you feel the conviction of your story should be. And I think we did that with Stone Cold Justice.
Hmm.
And I do that now. The films that I've had failures on, the films that I have had failures on have been the ones that were, you know, for one reason or another, we were just holding on to something we should have just let go of and let be a creative process.
I guess like with Stone Cold Justice, you could. We were writing that an episode every week, pretty much. Hey,
That's my rating.
we were writing fast,
I agree.
and I was turning around and editing everything
That's right.
within like a week or two. And
That's right. We were getting together. I mean, we were getting together in your dorm room, right? Every night. I would get off work. I was an after school teacher at that time. I mean, that's how far away I am from where I was today.
hmm.
I was an after school teacher, and my daughter, she had just been born. She was a newborn baby. Um, and we'd go to your dorm room. We'd work on the GoFundMe page, which I think we got like $100 to pay for Pizza Hut one time. Uh,
We weren't focused on perfection rather than just getting it done and getting it out to be seen.
we would get together in your dorm room.
Yeah.
We would write. We would just picture what would be funny. We would cast. We would look at Facebook pictures of actors you knew. We put out the casting call, and I remember we got all the submissions.
Hmm.
Um, I have a vague memory of the audition. I have no memory of the auditioning process, to be honest.
For
But we
some of
got it
them, they
done.
came in.
Yeah, some of them they came in, and ultimately we got it done, which is what it's all about. Get an idea, get it done, be satisfied with it. I loved Stone Cold Justice as as thinking about shooting on DSLRs,
Hmm.
you know, writing the film, writing the show with you, putting it all together, and then holding sound on moments we need to hold sound. whole process is so invigorating, and I love it. I love the art of filmmaking.
That's probably the most. Let's see. I guess my favorite trait about you is that you nothing stops you.
Ourselves. I appreciate that. Um, I appreciate you, man. I mean, before I dive into myself anymore, you really put me here. You know what I mean? Like you found me, and you gave me a shot, and I tell everybody about you, man. I tell everybody about our projects. I always in our sets. I always reference our experiences when we first got started. 'Cause I would not um, have taken the path or found the path had it not gone through you. So it's really fun being able to still have this friendship and being able to communicate and still be on the journey together. Um, the relentlessness the relentlessness comes from just if I could go back to 2013.
Mm.
2013, I had just moved to San Antonio, the outskirts of San Antonio. I mean the outskirts.
Yeah, you're a bit far.
Well, I was further than what you think too. I was far. When I was told I was moving to San Antonio, I thought I was coming to the big city. You know, in terms of just where I'm from, the Rio Grande Valley. You know, one highway. It's a one highway town. I moved to another one highway town. It was fucking Castroville. I was basically in Castroville.
Guess it was like 15 minutes out of San Antonio.
Hmm. Yeah, Highway 90. And 2013 it was December. It was cold. I was isolated. You know, everybody I grew up with was down in the valley. Um, and all I had to do, and you know, my dad, you know, working in the oil fields, I'd be alone all the time. He'd be out of town. My mother and brothers were in our home in the valley. They weren't going to be up here yet. So I remember 2013. It's night. There's still. I mean, this area now it's a different area. There's thousands of houses, but there was nothing then. So the stars galore. It was cold, and I was sitting on the swing set, and I remember just sitting there thinking, you know, I'm here right now, and I know what my goal is. I know what my aim is. It's to make films. It's to act. It's to entertain. No paths, no doors, but just looking out into the abyss of it all. It's I was like, I'll get there, and when I get there, I'm gonna come back to this moment. And every time I feel like I'm not there, or I feel like I'm gonna give up, I got to come back to this moment that I'm at right now, sitting at this swing set. You know, just hopeful, and remind myself, and always meditate on that moment, and talk to myself, and say, look what we've done in 10 years in our life, in our goals. The people we love, the people we surround ourselves with, keep going. You know, there's 10 more years, and then after those 10 years, there's 10 years after that, and then after that. So I'm excited for 2033 to be able to come back and meditate on 2013 and say, this is where I'm at. This is what you've done. Everything you've done has been by decision, has been by choice. Some guys don't get to do that, and I have to remind myself that. Um, Some people don't get to decide their life. Some people don't get to decide and choose a lot of things. Sometimes they're never aware that that's an option. And I've always been fortunate to decide every single thing, every single step has been by decision, has been by choice. And it goes back to 2013 and giving myself an area of hope, knowing that I can always come back here. If I'm ever out of hope, I can come back to this moment and I can just recharge, say a prayer, go back to God, go back to that moment, and recharge, and then go out and hit it. Because I've been knocked down, man. I've been knocked down. The business of it all has chewed me up, spit me out. And then there's this Frank Sinatra song, uh, "That's Life." You know, I've thought of quitting, baby, but my heart just ain't gonna buy it. And that's every single time I think about it. Yes, I get those thoughts, but this it's not gonna buy it. Um, so I just got to keep going. I let myself 5-10 minutes get vent, journal, get over it, get back to it, and that's where the relentlessness I think comes from. Is accepting how I feel in certain emotions, not denying when I'm sad, not denying when I'm elated, enjoying those moments when I'm elated, I'm really happy, uh, and just wanting to feel that, be satisfied with myself and my work over and over. I don't do as much as I did then. I mean, we shot a whole series, man, in less than 6 months. We shot a whole series in less than 6 months. Um, 2 year, fast forward 3 years, we're shooting short films galore, just nonstop. These ideas just keep coming out. We're writing them, we're making them. Nothing seemed impossible, and then the impossible happens, and that's the biggest challenge. Is you grow up and you grow up, you know, some more in here, and the reality sets in, and you got to ignore that reality. If I could just recommend to anybody, keep that childlike faith always. Something I have to continue to remind myself. The impossible, don't let it creep in. Don't let the impossible creep in. Be above it. Be above impossible, and always demand more. Demand more of your convictions. Demand more of your dreams, and is do it for yourself ultimately. What am I working on now? Um, Working with Keanu Cordell. He's a cinematographer, a director, and a writer. Um, so I wrote and directed a film called Painted from Memory, and that's been my latest project. Painted from Memory. I'll have a trailer for you as soon as I have the opportunity to send that your way. And I love Korean films. I love Korean dramas. That inspires me. Korean way of filming. And I just wanted to tell a grounded story, uh, tell a grounded story of responsibility. You know, not letting passions drive you. What I mean by that is where people have two things. You're going to have your responsibilities, you're going to have your passions. Ultimately, we always want to make the selfish decision and go straight to our passions. But for some people, we have a responsibility we got to anchor ourselves to. People depend on us. We're responsible for certain things, for certain people. So there's sacrifices you have to make. And sometimes you have to look that passion in the eye and say, I can't do it, can't make it. Um, you're going to have to take that bus without me. And maybe I'll see you down the road. And Painted from Memory is a story about a man who has to make that decision. And I love it. I love the film.
Cool. Why? Oh, you told me. Okay, so we got that one.
Keanu shot it. Keanu Cordell shot it.
Hmm.
Gary, Robert, they're new friends of mine. I don't know their last names. I'm sorry, fellas, if you're listening to this, but just know Stevie as well too. She acted across from me, and Stevie did an amazing job. She's a great local actor. Not local, she's in Austin, but she's insane. Her talent, her emotions are iridescent. She could do anything. She's amazing.
What inspires you?
What inspires me? Love, as corny as that sounds, love of passion, love of art, love of artistry. What inspires me ultimately is, let me think on that a second. Let me see what inspires me. That's a loaded question. It's
You don't like questions like
I
that.
love art. I have some art across from here, and it's nothing fancy, but it's movement, it's texture, sound, music. I love composition and being able to have a blank slate, a composition in your head to be able to find a story to tell. Ultimately, what inspires me is the books that I read. Um, I know what I have to read. It finds me, fortunately, because I try to always journal and be in touch with where I'm at. I'll assess myself. And normally, in the way that I'm talking to myself, I'll kind of have a direction that I should probably read something around this. I should probably read something around that. That tends to inspire me ultimately to write. Um, so everything does. Artists inspire me. My family inspires me. Um, Got to give all thanks to God too. Surrendering it all to Him, and then whatever ideas come from that surrender, and that peace of mind, I'm there to capture I'm there to capture that idea. So it would be, yeah, it's everything. I wish I could say it's one thing, but it's everything. Everything inspired.
Nice. Any specific subject matter you like to cover in your work?
Comedy, man.
Comedy.
I just want to laugh. I want to laugh. I I spent a couple of years not laughing. I've always been a jovial person. I spent like 2 or 3 years in a proverbial cell. You know, I put myself in a jail, and it was self imposed. And I'll read if I read the journals of that area and my dialogue with myself and my thoughts. It wasn't a place that I'd like to visit, but I don't mind going back and reading because I can see how I got out of it. Uh, so what got me out of it was writing, and that's how I created Riot in Cell Block 95. It's a story about prison escape, and that prison, it's in here. Get out of it. Get beyond yourself. Get better in more ways than one. Um, and man, I forgot the question. What did you ask me?
um, what subject matter do you like to cover?
So the subject matter I like to cover is just right now it's so because of that time I was telling a lot of drama. Right in Cell Block 95, it reinvigorated my love for filmmaking. Right in Cell Block 95, I had made it right after a big, I would consider professionally my biggest failure. Um, it was a film that I invested a lot into time, money, resources. It was supposed to be it was supposed to be my way to break those Trojan walls. You know what I mean? Get through the walls of Troy. That was going to be my film to do that. It wasn't, and I spent about a year grieving over that, and I'd, I'd have intervals of good and bad, and then I made Riot in Subblock 95, and I moved past it. And when I made that, I realized, there's something to the human element of the storytelling that I hadn't explored. I had been doing bank robberies, vampire films, um, you know, chronicles that dive through different genres of media. Um, I wrote books, all that, but I had never explored the human element of everyday life, the human element. And when I met Keanu Cordell, the gentleman I made Painted from Memory with, he showed me his script for Smile Now, Cry Later, and it was exactly what I needed. It was a story about a guy who was also going through his own metamorphosis. He was grieving the death of his father, and he never really understood himself. And he has 2 days to do that. So basically, within one night, he's reborn, and and I connected with that a lot. So now it's comedy. I spent 2 years of my life not laughing, again by choice, by decision. So now I just want to tell things that'll make somebody laugh, whether it's my peers, whether it's a high school kid, because my humor is a little I don't have the most mature humor. Uh, I got a dark sense of humor, but I just want to make people laugh, whoever that may be.
All right. So we touched a little on this, but any advice you want to give to others starting out, especially the young ones?
Ignore the naysayers. I would say ignore the naysayers. Um, you need to have blinders on. You need to only focus on the vision of what you see. Have a strong opinion on it again. Loosely hold on to it and chase it. Be willing to adjust the vision. Let let other people come in and help you paint it because it only makes it that much nicer. Read, read a lot. Um, and take care of yourself in here. In here, that's where that's where life comes out of. Slow down, slow down. I've learned that less is more. Um, less is more. That's what I've learned. If I could give something back to, if I'm not talking to an audience of people, if I'm talking to that guy sitting, 2013, just thinking on his life, is have hope and less is more. That's what I would say. And make cool fucking movies, man. Make cool whatever you think is cool. Just go out there, make a cool film, be satisfied with it. Um, like, yeah. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't make it. Create your own definition of making it. Another bullet point of it. I got a lot of peace because I don't chase I don't necessarily chase credibility. I don't chase uh, notoriety. I've set my own standard of what making it means for me. I've set my own standard. If I can make movies with people I love, and I can have a great time doing it, if I can balance my personal life whilst doing that, um, and if I can leave the project with peace of mind and move on to the next, I've made it. That's it. I've made it for me. Somebody else's definition of making it, that's their life. That's their opinions. But to me, I set the standard for myself, and I'm either always going to meet that standard or I'm going to exceed it. If I'm right below that, I made a mistake somewhere along the line. But make your own standards. Don't let somebody else make them for you.
Okay. So what has been the biggest opposing force that you have encountered in your creative journey?
The biggest opposing force,
This one's a
I think Eric Filmmaker would say money. Money. We all have our $1 million scripts, uh, but I would say the biggest opposing force is your will, is your passion. I like to get on the treadmill. I love to run. I love lifting weights, and something I repeat to myself is it's the will, it's the skill, and it's the passion that kills. So if you're being drowned out by your own negativity and your doubt, you're pessimistic, that is your biggest opposing force. We made Stone Cold Justice on a shoestring and a shoebox. We didn't make Stone Cold Justice with a big budget, and it was able to open a ton of doors for everything. So, money I don't concern myself with in terms of making a project. It's my biggest opposing force is getting through myself, getting through any sort of blocks that I'm creating to make the project. Get through yourself, get through your mind.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, it's ourselves, man. My biggest goal currently right now is to make my film in the fall. I want to do 2 films a year, or if I could make a feature film for 1 year, that as well too. But right now, we've shot Painted for Memory for the spring, and right now I'm toying around with 2 scripts to shoot in the fall. Um, that's my biggest goal, and I hope to. I've been growing out my beard too to see if make something different, make something new.
Mhm.
Uh, those are my biggest goals currently. We can't plan for, like I don't have a 5 year plan. We can't plan for some. I've just never been that kind of person. I just know what I want, and I'll figure out a way to get there. When I was in middle school, is when it hit me. I'm going to be a. The only way I could be an actor, a successful actor, is I got to take these two directions. And when I had that thought in middle school, that led me through high school. I didn't go to college, so right after high school, that same idea of what I told myself led me through my life. So I just have to, now that I'm in my life, adjust that goal. And right now, it's continue to make two projects a year, two good projects a year, network, find good filmmakers, um, and collaborate with them. Collaborate with them. Make a film with you, Leonard, because we haven't worked on a film together since Unholy Living Dead.
I didn't help you with that one either.
You did.
Mm-mm. That was all you.
No, you helped me with it.
We snuck into the cathedral. That's about it, though.
Oh yeah, you were a part of it.
That was pretty
We
funny.
snuck in. That was a great shot too. We lost all the footage.
What? You serious?
If you guys, if I could give any advice, I've been on, I've been on in my productions. If this goes, have a good producer. Don't wear all the hats, because I've one of the craziest stories is we have our film premiering. Um, we have our film premiering. It's a week before the premiere, or 3 days before the premiere, four days before the premiere. And I talked to Wolfman Media Productions, David Kamek. I'm like, hey brother, we need that. We need the last scene of the movie, which we shot in a really nice cave, a really great location. It's the ending of this movie. The crescendo rises and crashes at that moment. Well, he lost the footage. It's deleted. We don't have it. It was we shot we were shooting so many films at that one time. They accidentally deleted the card on set that had the ending of my film that's premiering in 4 days.
Damn.
So what did we do? Were we nervous? Yes. Um, so we shot the ending. Had to figure out the ending, improvised it.
Was it the bedroom scene?
That's the bedroom scene.
Oh,
Bedroom scene. That wasn't the original ending.
yeah.
The original ending was real badass. Uh, so we shoot the ending, and then Alex Ramirez and Elijah Wan Butler, everybody, you guys we're all editing the films the night before the premiere of this sold out show. That's how to the wire we got with that.
Mm.
We were editing and rendering these films the night before. They weren't ready. Elijah One drove from Austin to San Antonio that day on a bender um, to make sure that we got that done. Elijah One is also one of those unsung heroes in a lot of my earlier parts of getting started because his efforts were great too. His efforts were great.
Yeah. So I didn't make any of the movies in that thing.
You produced it.
Yeah.
You're a producer of all of them.
There was actually everyone actually wrote way more scripts than what was actually featured.
What was that?
We had way more scripts than that actually got.
Oh yeah,
Everyone was making drafts, and we were like, we don't know about this. But
we had all gotten started. I mean, ultimately, if I can go back now, probably I would have probably gone a different direction with multiple things, but we didn't know what we were doing.
Mhm.
It was our first time producing something of that extent, um, but I'm proud of it. It was funny premiering it to an array of different people in the audiences, and all the films were so different. Steve Garza, you know what you did. Uh,
Yeah,
so
that was funny.
this film was intense. Uh, this film was intense. Elijah ones had some intensity to it that was intense. Uh, so it's looking back at it now, we probably would do a different direction. you know, we could have them all connect in some sort of way. But I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, the thing about that I liked was we had there was a lot of people involved, especially actors and crew, and it wasn't just San Antonio. It was I want to say all of Texas, but the major cities, and then
Mhm.
where between we got people from Texas coming out of the city to film, to edit. It was crazy. I have the all the resumes and headshots still.
So smile now, cry later. If I could plug the, can I plug smile now, cry later? If I could like steal snippets of this
Yeah, cool.
soon. So July 14th, at 3:30 p.m. Smile now, cry later. Film I produced with Keanu Bordeo, Cloudy Box Production. That's premiering at the Cine Festival here in San Antonio. It's free tickets. I think by the time this thing probably airs, it will already have it'll already have gone. But we've got that coming. Uh, we have a screening for it next Friday. Uh, so there'll be a screening for it at Brick at Blue Star, multiple other short films. So shout out to Keanu for making that project. Uh,
Mhm.
I love it. I'll send you clips of that if you want to.
Any other stuff you made?
Right in Cell Block 95. Listen to it. It's on Spotify. Right in Cell Block 95. That's what I would throw in. Just if somebody wants to know what more can you do with your creativity when budget's a factor, when when you've got all this creative energy, and where do you put it? Where can you dispel it? Because you can't always. The funny thing about filmmaking is you cannot always make a film. As much as you as much as it might seem it's easy to pick up a camera to really do what we want to do in here, to be satisfied, you don't always have that opportunity. But if you keep an open mind and you find other avenues to tell that story, do that. That's what happened with Riot. Riot was a film I wanted to make. I wanted to make a prison escape, but I had just blown all my money. Uh, I had just blown all my money trying to make a feature. So the best thing I could do was put it on Spotify, and that's what reinvigorated my love for filmmaking. Is working with Esteban Rodriguez, a sound engineer, and creating the foley, creating the score. You know, spending all of that winter of 2021 to 2022 uh, in his studio putting that together. Um, it was just another way to get creative and to tell stories. I would say I'm more of a storyteller than an actor than a filmmaker. I love story. So that's if I had to wear any hat, it would just be a storyteller. That's what it would be. If you're a storyteller too, there's more ways than one you can tell it. There's more ways than one. To tell it.
Yeah, and even in your acting roles, you're always playing someone different.
I'd hope so.
You're always there's no one type of character that you play. You're always doing interesting character pieces, whether it's Sonny Stradlin or you're the Pulp Fiction vampire or you're the assassin coordinator or whatever from the JFK thing,
Oh yeah, big red
or
white.
you're a
That's,
bank robber, or it's cool. You know, you take on all these personas. And,
I love. I love it when I get to like. I think I had when I got to. We have to market ourselves ultimately. So I had a personal friend of mine, Andrew Spears, and he told me I was doing my. He's not in the filmmaking world, but he'd always been giving me advice on how I should be, you know, putting my work out there. I had so much. I've had work that no one's ever seen. You know, there's the films that you're referencing, and I've got films that no one has ever seen or will ever see, unfortunately, for one reason or another. I have more films I haven't released than I have released. It's It's just the way it works sometimes. But that constant practice keeps me inspired. And anyways, when I got to go back and on my Instagram, I basically used my Instagram as a billboard for my filmmaking career. Um, so creating those reels and going and editing them, and seeing all the characters I got to take on and I got to write, we got to create. It was really gratifying. I was really proud of myself, and I was happy I was proud of myself because yeah, it's I've never had to just be the bully. I've never had to just be a cholo, just be typecasted into some certain stigma. I've got to do I've got to do whatever I've wanted to do, and I'd like to keep it that way. I'd like to keep continuing to do whatever I want to do, and it's character inspires me. If there's an actor who I would say uh, inspires me, my Mount Rushmore, Marlon Brando, um, Mount Rushmore. Give me a second because there's a name that leaves me. And I'll jump back into my. I'll jump back so it flows well. Um, so my Mount Rushmore of actors that inspire me is Marlon Brando, um, Song Kang Ho, the South Korean actor from Parasite, a taxi driver. I've been on a binge of his films because he's incredible. Um, Steve McQueen, Brad Pitt, um, and Jack Nicholson. Just in my when I'm writing or when I'm trying to find a project, I try to get all that. Try to like, how could I put that in one? And I'm always chasing that. Those are guys. Those are movies I could see all of their movies all the time. And I know there's other Alain Delon. There's many other actors who I'm leaving out that inspire me, and there's work like theirs that inspire me, and I want to make more of. Sylvester Stallone. Um, there's so much. There's so much. So I forgot the question again, man. I started rambling.
I don't think there was a question.
What's where I was going with that?
I was just complimenting your characters.
That's my character, Instagram, all that shit. Whack. Um,
I saw you your little speaking spot you had. Was it how many years ago? Was it 2 years ago?
with Our Lady of the Lake University.
Yeah, I was like, was that your first speaking gig?
Yeah, that was what was that called again?
Mass conference.
Math conference. That's right.
I was
Um,
like,
the mass conference, dude. Yeah, they had reached out and I got to speak to you. I got to speak to filmmakers, right? I was talking to
mostly students.
mostly students. It was just I was so happy about it because I didn't go to Our Lady of the Lake, but a lot of my story starts at Our Lady of the Lake University. So it was cool. It was like a little full circle kind of moment, to be able to my first auditions, my first everything, my first productions, writing in your dorm room, um, just hanging out around there as if I lived there with you. It was funny. It was a cool little full circle moment to be able to do that. I don't know what it may have been aside from like podcasts and things that was my first opportunity to be able to speak on my experiences and try to educate um, try to educate on the process.
Hmm.
There's not one specific process. There's multiple. There's multiple different routes you can take to have some success with filmmaking. And I got to just speak about mine. Not to say mine's the right one, but just my process.
So back to like chasing dreams. One of the coolest things that you managed to pull was the wrestling ring.
That was cool. So
That was really cool.
there's a couple of
Uh,
things that
and fun.
there. So I probably got to get back to this, man. Honestly, in terms of the writing process. So I wouldn't write anything for a long time. Now that we're speaking and I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't write anything if I didn't have the opportunity to make it. And what I mean by that is, I wanted to. We had a luchador character in Stone Cold Justice, so to me, it only made sense. Well, we should find a wrestling ring and shoot a wrestling episode. Before we wrote it, I had to go out find a promotion, get a ring, get the opportunity, get to know the person, and make the connection. We did that, wrote it. Flash forward to One Holy Living Dead. I want to tell a movie. It's inspired by Pulp Fiction, Elvis, um, 50s vampires in modern age. I need a diner. We get the pig stand. Then I write the film. I want to do a bank robbery. My favorite story is in terms of doing things and how they got processed. Driving to I'm driving a Hondo for some reason, and I'm just like I want to make a bank robbery film. So I drive, no script, no nothing. I want to make a film. I drive to the Castroville National Bank, and I just walk inside. And I'm like, hey, could I talk to a manager? I tell the guy I want to shoot a movie here, and they're like, oh, talk to this guy over here upstairs. I go upstairs, and he's asking me about my film, and I'm like, yeah, the film, it's a bank robbery. Spitting out, it's a bank robbery. It's a bank robbery. And he's like, okay, that sounds good. When are you going to shoot it? This is the beginning of May, and I'm like, friggin' June 14th. I just spit out a date, June 14th. And he's like, ooh, can't do that day. Could you do this day? I'm like, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do it. And go to Hondo, do my thing, drive back home, and man, I just start writing Long Lonesome Go. I just start writing it because I've got a bank and I could rob it. And I'm like, I need a strip, I need a story. Um, and so I go home, I write Long Lonesome Go in 2 days. We're on set 2 3 weeks later. It's edited a month later, and so we shoot June 14th. The film is done by July 28th. I
Mhm.
remember the date because I remember thinking, just man, like that's from just driving, getting the idea, driving to the bank, setting the date, writing the script, putting the production together, um, and then for to be able to see the finished product by July, from May to July, I was like, that was incredible. Streets of Fire. I wanted to tell a race car movie, the racetrack. I just got on the phone, man. Call MSR in Houston, the racetrack in Houston. I want to make a movie. I need a racetrack. Go ahead, come on, kid. Where the fuck? Let me write the script, and we make it happen. Didn't finish the project ultimately, but we have a lot of badass footage of that racetrack and a lot of that stuff. Man, the list goes on. The list goes on of things that I want to follow this moment. I got to get the location. Then I'll write the script. I'll figure out the script later. The script, it's gonna come. I'll improvise it. We'll write it on set if we have to, like you and I did for Stone Cold Justice. That's one of the reasons why I don't get scared, is because I know our capabilities, and if I have to write something on set and completely change things, who's gonna know? Who's gonna know?
No one.
No. So I know I've been able to do a lot more fun stuff, but those are the ones that really stand out. Those are the ones that really stand out. Is Stone Cold Justice, Unholy Living Dead, Streets of Fire, Long Lonesome Go. Um, they're really big moments for me to kind of just show, like, whoa, look what I can do. Look what I can create if I just put this to work. What I can do. So you never know if you don't try. I'm not afraid of no. So
Yeah.
that's one of those things. What inspired you to do this podcast?
What inspired me to do this podcast? Mm, well, since I haven't made anything in like, how long has it been? 5 years. I just wanted to surround myself with more people. All my friends, they were still
Mhm.
doing it. I have done it. I like to talk about it. Um, it's pretty much the main reason. Just
Mhm.
to talk to people I don't usually talk to about things I don't get to talk to.
Mhm. What do you like to see?
What do I like to see?
Yeah, what
In
do you
what
like?
way? Like,
Movies.
oh, I like horror movies
That's right.
and dramas, sci-fi.
I like that too. I'm drawn to those genres, but I'm drawn to them, and I'd love to produce one of those films. But writing it, the inception of those stories, it takes a really complex brain, and that's why if anybody has those stories, I'd love to come on as a collaborator, producer, and an actor. I've tried many times to try to get some sci-fi and horror off the ground,
Mhm.
but my writing is just not there to where I'm satisfied with the story.
I have a sci-fi horror I wrote in college.
Cinema, in
it's
my way, I'm trying to make something soon.
it's based off Alien. It's like a big budget,
It's a big budget.
pretty much.
Uh-huh. Break it down, man. We break down the budget. We break it down and make it with no. Break it down, make it with no budget.
I wrote half of it in one night, which is pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like 50 pages
Mm-hmm. Feature
overnight feature.
50 pages overnight. That's a lot.
I was surprised I turned it in. Uh, that was really. I don't know how I wrote that much that fast. Over 8, 10 hours.
You could send me that. I'd love to read it.
I think I got like a B or a C on it.
Send it my way, man. Maybe we could
All
break
right.
it down for short.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so it's about learning. Yeah, like you said, you definitely don't need to go to school. I wouldn't even recommend film school for anyone,
Yeah,
unless yeah, unless you want to go to like. Nah, nah, I wouldn't recommend film school at all. Too annoying.
I'm somebody who didn't go to school, uh, but in my perspective, it's a preference. I couldn't tell you I'd still be in the same spot if I went to it.
Hmm.
I'm glad I didn't, but I'm sure there's some people who benefit from it.
Oh, there's definitely benefits, especially where you go. Especially if you go to like California schools, the high ones, the really nice schools.
Yeah, I agree.
But you can learn. I learned most stuff online. Like I barely learned anything new when I was there.
I made a film with Amadeo that was 100% improvised. It's called $50,000 to Waco. It's been one of my favorite projects to do. $50,000 to Waco. If I could make something like that tomorrow, I would because I just want to make something. Right now, I just want to make something comedic, something fun. I need to be around that. Like I said, the culture's changed. The culture was different when him and I made it. There was more openness to improvise. Right now, I think at least with what I'm seeing, there's not a lot of people open to 100% improvising. Which I get it. No one wants to waste their time, but I just want to laugh, man. I just want to laugh.
um, Marcus was good at improv.
Marcus was good. He lives in California.
Like he didn't. I don't think he stuck to the script. Kept to the script at all. I remember it.
Bill Krivnovsky as well too. He's an actor. He's really good at that. They could find my work on my Instagram. I have my work in my email there at David M Carbajal 34. They can email me. They can reach out to me. I'd welcome it. Um, I used to be very. I used to. What I've noticed as I've gotten a little older is I used to be very out there, man. Right now, I do like to. I do like to. I like to be in to work in the industry, but when I'm not working, I like to be away from it completely. Any last words? Keep it light, Dutch. Keep it light. Those are my last words for it.